Donald, for reasons that I don't completely understand, has been desperate to get a Nobel Peace Prize. For what? Who knows? He's lied about having put an end to seven armed conflicts across the globe. And the number of people lining up to say that Donald deserves a Nobel Peace Prize is embarrassing. Joining that line is Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla. On Wednesday, he called Operation Warp Speed, which was the effort started in 2020 to develop the COVID vaccines, quote, a profound public health achievement. Such an accomplishment would typically be worthy of the Nobel Peace Prize given its significant impact. Really? What about the significant impact of dividing Americans against each other at a time when they most needed to band together in order to make sure that COVID quickly became a thing of the past? What about a man who's so vain that he made wearing masks unacceptable to his followers? What about a man who very recently decided that he would demand drug companies justify the success of their various COVID drugs? At the same time, Robert Kennedy, Donald's own Secretary of Health and Human Services, was making it almost impossible for people other than the elderly and already ill to get COVID vaccines. According to Axios, Health and Human Services is not just limiting access to COVID vaccines, it is pulling $500 million in funding to develop new mRNA vaccines. That is the research upon which the COVID vaccine was based. That is why they were able to develop a COVID vaccine so rapidly, because the science to do so already existed. What about the impact of all of those things? We know that because of Donald's malicious inaction in dealing with COVID, the way any sane human being, Democrat or Republican, would have, cost and the deaths of 400,000 Americans unnecessarily. 1 million Americans died. At least 400,000 of those deaths are on Donald's hands. I would suggest more. This is not a man who deserves a Nobel Prize for anything. Also, he is the driving force behind Americans increasing vaccine skepticism. Again, he chose a virulent anti-vaxxer to be in charge of Americans' health. And now Florida, one of those states at the leading edge of fascism, has decided it is no longer going to require school-age children to be vaccinated before they are allowed to enter school. Children have already died because an increasing number of parents are buying in to the disinformation that vaccines are not safe or that vaccines increase your child's chances of becoming autistic. Neither one of those things is true. Vaccines are safe. They have no links whatsoever to causing autism. We know this because of countless numbers of peer-reviewed studies proving that there is no such link. And yet, the man in charge of Health and Human Services, which, by the way, is also in charge of the Centers for Disease Control and the National Institutes of Health, is somebody who does not want Americans, including American children, to get vaccinated. He would rather bring back already eradicated diseases like polio and increase the likelihood that our children are going to be susceptible to diseases like the measles that we were this close to eradicating. If you think Florida is the last state to embrace these, quite frankly, homicidal trends, you would be wrong. Other red states are going to trip over themselves to prove to Donald that they can be just as cruel and anti-science and anti-child as Governor Ron DeSantis. All because one man could not bear the thought of admitting he was wrong, because one man could not bear the thought of wearing a mask because he is so vain and so shallow and so unbearably stupid. Let's dive in. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of Mary Trump Live. It is wonderful to have you here. Today, I'm sure you're aware, one thing has dominated the headlines almost entirely because of Donald's ineptitude and ham-handed attempts to bury the scandal he is almost single-handedly keeping alive. And that would be his past relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, his refusal to release the Epstein files, and the fact that he is, according to his own DOJ, mentioned several times in the Epstein files. Today, as Congress has officially returned from recess, the Epstein scandal, again, one almost entirely of Donald's own making, is back in full force, and it is haunting its architect. As Epstein survivors gathered on Capitol Hill today to demand the release of the files, along with their long-delayed justice, they sent a loud and clear message to Donald and the Department of Justice. Take a look at this.
You have a choice. Stand with the truth, or with the lies that have protected predators for decades. I am no longer weak. I am no longer powerless. And I'm no longer alone. And with your vote, neither will the next generation be. President Trump, you have so much influence and power in this situation. Please use that influence and power to help us, because we need it now and this country needs it now. Thank you.
That would be extremely moving and compelling to anybody who cared about the feelings of Jeffrey Epstein survivors. Unfortunately, Donald Trump is not among those people. While survivors and their families gave impassioned pleas for the Trump regime to release more information, in fact, made direct pleas to Donald himself in a press conference with Polish President Karol Nawrocki, who probably had other things to discuss with Donald. Donald called the entire ordeal a Democratic hoax. He actually said Democrat, but because I'm not a child, I decided to use the correct adjective. Republican Congressman Thomas Massie, who's been leading the charge in trying to pass a House resolution to force the release of the Epstein files by the Department of Justice, decried Donald's statements about the victims. Take a look.
I think it's shameful that this has been called a hoax. Hopefully today we can clear that up. This is not a hoax. This is real. There are real survivors. There are real victims to this criminal enterprise. And the perpetrators are being protected because they're rich and powerful and political donors to the establishment here in Washington, D.C.
Right now, the House is just 2 votes away from passing Massie's resolution to release the files. The question remains, will Republicans choose to support the victims of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's horrific crimes? Or will they choose to support the man who is acting like he may well be implicated in them? I think we know the answer to this question, but is there a potential for there to be a critical mass? In other words, right now, as far as I'm aware, there are 4 Republicans in the House: Thomas Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace, who are siding with the Democrats to demand the release of the Epstein files. As more victims speak out, as more information becomes available, will more Republicans realize Not that they have to do the right thing, because nobody in this Republican Party is interested in doing the right thing. But will more Republicans in the House of Representatives make the calculation, as almost certainly Massey, Mace, Green, and Boebert have done, that siding with the desires of the base to know the truth about what is in the Epstein files is more to their benefit than continuing to stand by a man who every day makes it almost inarguable that he is somehow complicit in all of this? While the fallout from the Epstein story continues to play out, Donald continues to threaten to send the military to various Democratic cities across the United States. The most recent potential target is New Orleans, Louisiana. During the same press conference today, Donald repeated his threat to Chicago and warned that New Orleans could be next. Take a look.
Washington, D.C. is a totally safe city. You're not reporting any crime because there is none. They said crime is down 87%, and I said, no, it's not. It's down 100%. We have a great thing going. I could do that with Chicago. We could do that with New York. We could do it with Los Angeles. So we're making a determination now. Do we go to Chicago, or do we go to a place like New Orleans, where we have a great governor, Jeff Landry, who wants us to come in and straighten out a very nice section of this country that's become quite tough, quite bad. So we're going to be going to maybe Louisiana, and you have New Orleans, which has a crime problem. We'll straighten that out in about 2 weeks.
Oh, really? That should be a textbook definition of delusion right there. And also, I know this isn't that important, but the Oval Office, my God. As much as Donald wants to make incursions into Chicago, even he doubts his ability to overrule Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, who's fiercely opposed the federal government sending in the military. But in New Orleans, while he may not have local support, he definitely has the loyalty of Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry, who is one of Donald's fiercest backers, which is to say, minions. During a press conference, Donald also said, quote, "I want to go into Chicago and I have this incompetent governor who doesn't want us," unquote, which is to say, Illinois has a governor who understands how these things work. Illinois is a sovereign state that does not have to do the bidding of the executive branch and will refuse to. While Donald's never been one to heed others' warnings, it does seem that Governor Pritzker's threats may be making him take a pause. Partially, this is because Donald, who is a bully, is weak. And he does not know how to handle it when people stand up to him, especially when the people standing up to him are smarter, more articulate, and understand the situation infinitely better than he does. It also makes it much worse for Donald when the person standing up to him is really good at beating him at his own game. While Donald threatens states that oppose his agenda, states that agree with him are voluntarily endangering their citizens' lives. As I mentioned at the top of the show today, Florida Surgeon General, who should quite frankly be in prison at this point, that's Joseph Ladapo, announced the state is ending all vaccine mandates. Take a look at this clip from his alarming press conference.
Every last one of them is wrong and drips with disdain and slavery. Okay? Who am I as a government or anyone else, or who am I as a man standing here now to tell you what you should put in your body?
That's your fucking job. That's who you are. You're the Surgeon General of Florida. You were supposed to be helping people understand what they should be doing to stay healthy and what they should avoid to prevent themselves from getting sick. And also, what does slavery have to do with anything? This is what they do on the right. This has been happening since Ronald Reagan, who said that government was the problem. The government is us. It belongs to us. It represents us. The job of our government is to figure out the best ways to make our lives better, to keep us safe in a variety of ways. Safe from foreign incursions, safe from, I don't know, people like Donald Trump, safe from disease, safe from arsenic in our waters, safe from polluted air. That is the job of our government, which again is us. The government of the United States, at least until Donald got back into office, is not some hostile foreign power. It is designed to do the best for the American people. It should not surprise us that this bizarre and desperately dangerous decision to remove all vaccine mandates has the full support of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who spoke later at the press event. The New York Times, I don't have much else to say, quite frankly, because it is obvious on its face what's going on here. These people are fascists, and they care nothing for the people they were elected to serve. They care only about their power and remaining in the good graces of the man who is doing his utmost to destroy this country from within. The New York Times reports that even some right-wing, some on the right, are critical of the Florida Surgeon General's decision, backed again by Ron DeSantis. For instance, Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, a Republican who chairs the U.S. Senate's Health Committee, called the move by DeSantis and the Surgeon General Ladapo, quote, a terrible thing for public health. We're going to start having vaccine-preventable disease outbreaks at school. You're going to have children who come to school with measles and infect other people who either have not been vaccinated or have some sort of disease like cancer, unquote, which of course would make them more vulnerable to diseases like measles, which again, we came extraordinarily close to preventing. The irony here, of course, is that Bill Cassidy is an actual doctor, and so is the Surgeon General of Florida, by the way. How he still has a license to practice medicine is beyond my comprehension. Bill Cassidy is a doctor. He understands how these things work, and he clearly knew that putting Robert Kennedy in charge of Health and Human Services was going to be disastrous for this country. He allowed Kennedy to lie to his face so Cassidy would not have to take the very uncomfortable step of voting against Kennedy's confirmation. Bill Cassidy, an actual doctor, voted to put Robert Kennedy in charge of Health and Human Services. Florida has one of the country's largest populations of elderly people who could have fatal reactions to viruses spread to them by the unvaccinated. There is no doubt that this decision is going to kill people. It is going to kill children. And it will be said when that happens that the people making these decisions know exactly how all of this is going to play out. And just like the man they are trying to please for reasons that surpass all understanding, they don't care. Some breaking news. A judge ruled on Harvard's research grants. During an August 26 cabinet meeting, Donald demanded Harvard University pay, quote, nothing less than $500 billion, unquote, as part of a settlement with the nation's oldest Ivy League school. He told Education Secretary Linda McMahon, quote, they've been very bad. Don't negotiate, unquote. Okay. But today, a federal judge ruled that the administration had unlawfully stripped Harvard of $2.2 billion in research grants, forbidding further funding cuts. The ruling delivers a win to Harvard, which has been a prime target of Donald's war on so-called radical left universities. His administration tied funding to campus protests over Gaza, and he threatened Harvard University with losing its accreditation in July of this year. This is the third ruling in 2 days to go against the Trump regime. On Tuesday, an appeals court blocked the use of the Alien Enemies Act to deport Venezuelan migrants. And California Judge Charles Breyer ruled the deployment of National Guard troops in Los Angeles violated the Posse Comitatus Act because it did, right there in the Constitution. You know, the document Donald's never read and is doing his best with the assistance of the fascist Republican Party and the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court, of all things, to set on fire. So there's a lot going on. But that's more reason than ever, because I think it's Thursday, to take a second and breathe. Let's breathe. It's also time for our emotional support moment. I want to look, and this is one of the coolest things to me about space. We are looking at stars that no longer exist because it has taken so long for their light to reach us that they have died by the time we can see them. So we're going to look back 326 million light years into the past, where the Penguin and Egg Galaxy, those are cute names for galaxies, are colliding. A new James Webb Space Telescope image glowing in near and mid-infrared light shows the luminous conjunction of these two galaxies. Even far beyond us, the universe continues to create and to just show us what beauty looks like. So let's pause, keep breathing, and take it all in. Whew, that's amazing. Every once in a while, I think, wouldn't it be nice to be 363 billion light years away? All right, let's get to your questions, comments, etc. By the way, it's Wednesday. It just occurred to me. Oh boy. All right, it's fine. Here we go. Cindy, thank you so much as always. A super sticker. That's awesome. Oh, hang on. I forgot to do something. There we go. That's easier to see. Electron Creations, thank you so very much. Comment, missing my 16-year-old ginger girl, Ms. Cinnabon, who passed away in April. Give her cats a treat fee. MTM say what? Yes, first of all, always gives your cats a treat. And so very, very sorry about Miss Cinnabon. Yeah, it's just losing a pet. It's one of the hardest things. So I empathize completely. Diane, thank you so very much for that. And the comment is happy hump day fee. See, it's Wednesday. Thank you for checking my work. Somebody's got to. My name is Cheryl. Thank you so much, as always. You gifted 1 Mary Trump Media membership. And speaking of memberships, we have a new member. Elise, thank you so very much and welcome. It's great to have you here. Lizzie Beth, thank you as always. Question, who's going to be Shady Pants VP if? That's a good question. It doesn't matter because he's not really going to be president. We're going to be ruled by the triumvirate of Peter Thiel, David Sachs, and Elon Musk, or some worse combination of people. Stephen Miller. Let's throw Stephen Miller in the mix. But it will be, I mean, that will be an interesting, it will be interesting to see who's vile enough to fill that position. Midas Cheryl, thank you again, as always. Question, if you could bring someone back to life to have a conversation with them, who would it be? I'm terrible at these kinds of things, honestly. Partially because, like, it wouldn't be somebody I didn't already know, because I think it's always risky to meet people whose work you admire, you know? So it would be somebody I know and have lost. Probably my dad, actually. Hang on one second. Okay. Elise gifted 1 Maritime Media membership. Thank you so very much. Karen, comment, playing roulette with your child's health and life is not a game a wise person does. No, and it's actually awful how misled some of these people are. It's just makes me quite angry. Mission Road 100 comment, Red wants you dead. Yeah, that's becoming clearer by the second. Dorothy, thank you so very much for gifting 1 Maritime Media membership. That's fantastic. Karen and Gary, thank you very, very much. Comment, thanks for joining us at dinner time every day. Well, thank you for having us. That's awesome. Susan, thank you so very much. As always, gifted 5 Maritime Media memberships. Fabulous. In the middle of nowhere, thank you as always. Comment, and the exploding head feeling continues to be. Yes, indeed it does. It does. It does. And in the middle of nowhere, again, thank you. Fantastic. Gifted 5 Maritime Media memberships. Jennifer, thank you very, very much, Jennifer. Comment, donating mashed potatoes to Sling It Donald. Yes. I like having a mashed potato fee. Heather, thank you very, very much. Comment, to help with Jennifer W's mashed potatoes fund. See, it's a thing that's going to get momentum. Betty Veronica, thank you so very much. Comment, Mary, your dad would be damn proud of how beautiful inside out his daughter turned out. Empathy is invaluable. Tacky gold decor is worthless. Thank you, Betty Veronica. That's very, very kind of you. I hope my dad would be proud of me. And I wish he knew that. I wish I had the opportunity to be proud of him. But unfortunately, that is not how things shook out. Mary, thank you very much as always. Comment, breathe me, and 3 cat emojis because cats. Zaklina, wow, Zaklina gifted 10 Maritime Media memberships. That's phenomenal. Thank you so very much. Much appreciated. Tyler, thank you very much, Tyler. Comment, I'm a 22-year-old autistic person born and raised here in Chicago. I refuse to let that thin-skinned man baby take over my beloved city. And we should refuse to allow Robert Kennedy to malign people in the autistic community. It is unacceptable. And Tyler, thank you so much for standing strong, and thank you for being here. Neely, thank you so very much. That's really generous, and we so appreciate it. Comment, almost missed the show. Phew. Well, we're very glad you didn't. Susan, thank you again. Comment, thank you, Mary and the Maritime Media team. It was a difficult news day. We appreciate you all. Yeah, it does. But you know what? We're sort of getting used to the fact that they all are. And then it's just a question of sifting out the most important things that you guys all need to know about and remembering not to forget about other extremely important things. Susan is a super sticker. Thank you, Susan. That's fantastic. And finally, Rockin' Steady. Thank you as always. Comment, sorry I'm late, just saying hi, cheers. And cheers to you and to everybody watching on YouTube, to everybody streaming on Twitter and our Substack, The Good in Us, to everybody who's a new member, welcome. To everybody gifting new memberships, to our awesome super stickers, and everybody giving us donations. You guys help us out more than we could possibly tell you. To our kick-ass moderators who make this a place we all want to be. We are getting close to 500,000 subs. The easiest way to support us is subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost anything. It gives you access to all of the videos on our public page. Also, we release videos twice a day in addition to the lives. like them, share them, watch them, comment on them. That helps us a lot too. And finally, to my amazing team who gets more amazing by the day, all of you watching have no idea how much work goes into this, and it is entirely down to the phenomenal people who are at Mary Trump Media. So thanks, guys, as always. That does it for us. I will be back tomorrow night, which is Thursday. I have it on Good Information at 6 p.m. Eastern. And that does it for us. I will see you all tomorrow night. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind.